Hey folks, in this video, we're going to be talking about how to tailor your communication modalities. Yes, not everybody likes an email. Not everybody wants a text message. Not everybody likes to talk on the phone. And yes, not everybody likes camera on. And what about in person? Let's talk about it. After 4.5 years of working remotely in a hybrid setting, we've realized not everybody likes to be on camera. We also realized that some people don't like to meet in person, that they would prefer to be on camera. Some people don't want any of that, and they want to talk on the phone or have an audio connection or even record a message in the audio format and send it to them. Some people don't want any of that. Some people want to communicate inside of a messaging platform, whether that be on the computer or on a phone. And then some people would prefer still an email. How do you know? Well, that's what this video is about. This video is about tailoring your communication, part of our Tailoring Your Communication series. And today we're talking about how to know how people want their communication. Well, if you paid attention to our complexity bias series that we just wrapped up, the easiest way to figure out how people like to communicate, what modality, email, voicemail, phone, video, in person, you name it, is to, that's right, ask them. You know, in the workplace, I'm always amazed at how people try to make something more complex or more confusing. And as I've said before, I think some of the time that's to make themselves seem more important or to try to make it more complex so they have something to think about and to solve. If you have to make something more complex or think about something that much, you've got that kind of time on your hands, well, let me know. I got a few things for you to do. But it could be that easy. For example, I asked my wife a while back, about a decade ago, hey, if I need to ask you like one or two quick questions, what's the best way to do that? She's like, yeah, don't talk to me about that. Don't ask me that. That was not in a rude way. She was just like, those type of things. I'm faster. If I have to look anything up or reference anything, those questions, a couple quick questions like that can be yes or no or real specific to something. Or if I have to look up something and reference something, best send me a text message. And in our relationship, we very seldom ever use email. And the reason why is because we tend to default to text messaging each other for quick little transactional nonsense things and talk in person if it's something bigger than that. I also know that my wife does not like to talk on the phone. And she also knows that I do. So when I travel, we have to make compromises. And she's willing to compromise and say, hey, he's on the road, he's traveling. It might be easier in a hotel room or something like that for him just to communicate with me over the phone or FaceTime. So she does. But in our day-to-day, when I'm at home and working in the studio or giving presentations, we just simply, if it's quick and I need to do something without interrupting her, or she needs to do something without interrupting me, it's text message. And most of the time it's in person. And you're probably thinking about your personal relationships right now and how that's handled. If you have teenagers, you probably know right away they ain't picking up the phone, and they would probably prefer to go back and forth, and can inside of a text message app, typically on their device, their phone. And you probably are thinking about a spouse, partner, significant other, and you know what? Yes, if I need to ask my spouse, my husband or wife, a quick question, I just simply crank out a text message and then wait for a reply. If it's something to do with maybe we have something going on that's important and I'm kind of the point person and I'm getting emails on that, then you need to forward those. You're probably thinking through that. But we hit a real stumbling block sometimes when it comes to work. Because again, these things get kind of tricky in the workplace. I don't necessarily know why, because it could be nothing more than using observational skills and just watch, observe, pay attention to what seems to be the default mode of communication for most people. Do they always reach out and text? Do they always reach out and text? Do they reply even if you've asked them something in a meeting and they say, I'll follow up with you? Or even if you ask them something sometimes in an email, they'll reply in a text message. And it's important to do and observe that, because what they're telling you is, here's how I like my communication, and then we can accommodate that. This is just one of many in our series over the next few weeks of the ways to tailor our communication. Again, as an example, I know that if I want a fast reply from my wife, I send a text message. And I make it kind of a yes or no, or a closed-ended question where she can reply, 11 o'clock, or that'll happen on Wednesday at 4, or yes, we can do that. And we can simply then just move forward from there. And again, when you think about this in the workplace, one of the other ways that I think is very simple, but a lot of people, again, aren't doing it, and that's simply building relationships with people, paying attention, taking interest in what they're saying and how they're expressing in stories, how they communicate, or they may be talking about how they just this absolute horrible experience to go to a family cookout over the weekend because they had to talk to people in person and be face to face and do small talk. These, again, will give you some clues, and that might be your opportunity to say, by the way, since you mentioned that you're not the most comfortable and you don't like those situations in person, face to face, making small talk, how do you prefer to communicate? If I need to ask you a quick question, if I need to ask you, give you some information and then have you give me an answer or your thoughts and that sort of thing, ask those questions and have them answer you. And then we also have to consider the synchronicity of this. We have asynchronous communication modalities such as voicemail and email, and we have more synchronous modes of communication, obviously face-to-face on camera and in person and on a phone. Those are synchronous forms of communication. We have things in the middle. The text messaging platforms, if you do reach out to a person and they reply right back and you start pinging and ponging back and forth, that becomes slightly more synchronous. It's still disconnected in that we're only using words. That's right, 7% of how we communicate is words. 38% is tonality, pitch, tone, timbre, voice, inflection, rate of speech, volume. The biggest piece that we use to communicate comes 55%, and that's body language and facial expressions. So again, even though you might think, wait a minute, I'm messaging real time back and forth in WhatsApp or in Teams, you're still operating in a very siloed, narrow environment for expressing moods, feelings, and tonality, as well as being able to use gestures to give people hints or additional information, additional context to that message. So think about those things. And as I always recommend, think about how you like your communication. What is your preferred modality for quick little transactional things? If someone needs to give you information, do you prefer to have an email with that information in it and then the questions that they would like answered at the bottom? Do you prefer that be in a phone call or in person or on video? Think about your preferences. Because also, as you ask somebody else, they might say, and by the way, how do you like yours? So be prepared for that. But that'll give you some insight as to where there might be a disconnect. If you like to talk always in person and you're trying to meet people in person or get them on video, camera on, or talk to them on the phone, and they're more of an introverted person that prefers a text message, and then maybe they say, you know what, that's a lot of information, send me an email. That's something to consider. Because we are going to get more from people when we tailor our communication, and in this case, tailor our communication modality. Folks, good luck with this. I'll be back next week for another video on tailoring your communication. But for now, take care of yourself so you can take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next video.